Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of suppressors and why you might want to buy one or why you might not want to spend the money. So first things first, let's get the Hollywood junk out of the way. Suppressors don't make your guns silent, and they don't make your guns any more deadly. And I wish we could tell the government that, right? But a lot of people have this fantasy about suppressors because it silences your gun, or you can't hear it after you shoot it, or someone can't pick up your position when you shoot your firearm, and all that stuff is kind of BS. It's not really true. It does deaden the sound of the actual shot and the bullet leaving the muzzle, but it doesn't exactly hide your position from an enemy force. So I'm sure, as most of you know, a suppressor is just a tube with baffles inside that catch the gases from a rifle or a pistol when it is shot. Those gases emit a lot of noise, and that's what the suppressor does for that bullet or that gun. It does mitigate the noise that you hear. Some of the best suppressors bring the noise decibel down to almost hearing safe, but most of the time it's well over a hearing safe decibel rating, which means you're going to have to shoot your rifle or pistol with some sort of ear protection on. Closest you're going to get to Hollywood quiet is with a 22 in a suppressor. That's pretty quiet. Most of the time all you can hear is the bolt, and that is pretty much hearing safe. For most consumers and shooters, suppressors are just really cool. They sound awesome and they look awesome, right? But if we're talking about suppressors from a tactical advantage, suppressors do a number of things. So let's go over the pros of a suppressor, tactically speaking. So first of all, suppressors change the sound signature of a rifle or a pistol when shot. So that means you can hear it distinctly whether a suppressed rifle was shot versus an unsuppressed rifle, because they are very different and you can hear that distinctly. So what's that do for you as the user, as the tactician? First of all, it allows you to understand that if everyone on your team has suppressors, that someone on your team likely shot. With that being said, you're also going to learn to pick up the types of suppressors being shot. One suppressor is going to sound completely different from another suppressor, and you're likely going to be able to distinguish those things. If you ever shot inside, you'll realize how loud a firearm is. If you put a suppressor on when you're shooting inside of a building, you'll notice that it's a lot less pressure and it's a lot less loud, so it's not overbearing on you or the people that you're with. This is one of the reasons that people love suppressors for home defense situations, is because there's so much noise and they think that the suppressor can really dampen that and not deafen everyone in the home. This might not be you and this might not apply to you, but if you are in a sniper position or you have some sort of marksmanship role and you take shots at a long range toward the enemy, yes, a suppressor is going to definitely help you hide your position. But be mindful that a suppressor still is loud and it still makes a sound signature of some sort. And while we're on this topic, I do want to dispel the myth that suppressors slow bullets down, because in reality they don't really affect your velocity. So it's neither a pro nor a con, and I just wanted to make that clear. Alright guys, so we've gone over pretty much all the pros. Let's talk about the cons. So one thing that a suppressor does is it adds length and weight to a firearm. For instance, what I have here is an 8-inch 300 blackout rifle or pistol, whatever the government wants to classify this as today. When I thread my suppressor on, it's going to add about 6 to 8 inches of length, in this case about 8 inches of length, to the overall length of the firearm. It's also going to add some weight. Another very obvious con to a suppressor is that it's very costly. Suppressors can cost anywhere from $500 to $1,500 for a decent suppressor on a firearm. If you're looking at 22 suppressors, it's a little less, but then you've got to factor in the $200 theft of the government, or what they call a tax stamp. For every suppressor that you buy, you have to pay $200 for a tax stamp. Not to mention, another con of having a suppressor or buying a suppressor is the waiting period. Personally, I waited 15 months for mine, but they do have these new electronic forms which are allegedly a lot faster. Another con that people don't really talk about too much with suppressors is the amount of blowback from the gas that you get. All that gas that would have escaped from your barrel usually comes back in your gas port or gas tube, and you're gonna taste it, feel it, and eat it. There are some ways to mitigate that, and I implore you to check those out if you're having those issues. But the point is that it is a con in this situation. Another downside to having a suppressor on your rifle is you then have to be a little bit more careful about after shooting it. Essentially what you have is an extension of your barrel, and this thing gets very, very hot. So most rifles or pistols or whatever you want to call these today will have a handguard to keep you from burning yourself. You're not holding on to the barrel while you're shooting it or anything like that. But sometimes you have to be careful of your barrel after you shot multiple rounds because it can be very hot. A suppressor's no different. A suppressor, unless it has a cover, is exposed, and if you bump it on your leg or you put it down on a piece of gear, something's getting burnt, especially after you fired numerous rounds from the firearm. Alright guys, so that's just a quick list of pros and cons of suppressors. And in reality, you got to think about what's best for you. If you want it and you can afford it, I say go out and get it because it's cool as hell. But if it's something you're thinking about using as a tactical advantage, unless you're running in a team or you do this professionally, you really don't need a suppressor to be any more deadly or efficient with your firearm. But there's a lot of cool factors. So if that's what you want, go get it. But definitely understand the pros and cons of the suppressor. Alright guys, thanks for watching.